Disappointed is what I would have to say when it comes to the Galaxy Watch Ultra. I wouldn't say it's enough to invalidate the purchase I made, but it has left me with the feeling that I was led to believe the watch could do things that it couldn't. But before I get to that, there are a few things I want to say this watch does well. Comfort being one of them. When I was on the market looking for a new watch, my first worry was comfort. At a glance, this looks like a massive watch. And what use would it be if wearing it causes discomfort for the wrist? If I was to compare comfort with the Galaxy Watch 4 Classic, I would give it a solid 8 out of 10, with an 8 being the ease of which you can attach the band to the watch, and for the invisible feeling you get after wearing the watch for a while. The downside that prevents this rating from reaching a 9 is the band. Compared to the Galaxy Watch 4's leather strap, the sport band has a bit of material that sticks out, and this can get very annoying very quickly. And for those wondering, you can't pull the tab up either, as this would cause the band to fall out of the holder. This becomes a bigger issue if you sleep with the watch on. For me, the most frustrating part is how the band catches on surfaces easily, while the Galaxy Watch 4 avoids this with two latches that help prevent snags. When wearing this watch, I prefer a tighter fit, as I like this watch to feel snug rather than loose. And with that in mind, I recommend you being careful. When I remove the watch to charge it, there is a noticeable mark left behind from where it was sitting. While it does fade away after a while, in my case, sometimes it leaves scabs or marks from wearing it too tightly. Taking a closer look to the front of the watch, you'll notice a non-rotating bezel. This was quite the adjustment for me, since my last watch was the Galaxy Watch 4 Classic. The responsiveness is okay most of the time, it works fine. However, if you're wearing gloves or your fingers are wet, then don't bother trying. The larger screen does help with navigation, but due to the lack of a rotating bezel, your thumb tends to block part of the screen as you interact with it. The resolution and brightness are things I can't complain about, boasting around 3000 nits of peak brightness, making it highly visible in bright sunny weather. And with that said, if you're using the raise to wake function, especially in bright conditions, it takes a moment for the automatic brightness to kick in, leaving you squinting for a few seconds.
Hello. Why don't you subscribe? Please.
Screen responsiveness is excellent if you're not relying on the rotating bezel. You also have the option to increase screen sensitivity, and this works really well, especially if you're wearing gloves. The screen performs better than my old Samsung watch, and in some ways even better than my S22 Ultra, especially in terms of peak brightness and visibility outdoors, making this a solid 10 out of 10. According to the spec sheet, this watch has a sapphire display, and I can attest to that. Throughout the month of ownership, I've bumped and brushed the screen against surfaces that I thought would scratch it. Each time, I was pleasantly surprised to see that they were just one wipe away. However, I do worry about longevity of the anti-reflective coating. While my Galaxy Watch 4 Classic didn't sustain any major damage thanks to its bezel, it did show signs of wear on the coating, especially when smudged or wet. The bezel on the Ultra has picked up a few nicks and scrapes. It did bother me at first, but over time I appreciated that it was the bezel taking the hits instead of the screen. Still, with the bezel being the first point of contact, it is vulnerable to paint damage, so I would recommend a case for those looking to keep their watch in a pristine condition. The body of the watch is made from a firm plastic. Yes, I did check, and I would never have guessed it on the spot if I was asked. It shows no wear after 30 days of use, which is durable, showing it's durable in that aspect. As for waterproofing, no worries there. This watch is rated for 10 atmospheres of pressure, making it overkill for those who wear it in the shower or bath. I actually found it great for playing music while in the bath. Set it to the bottom and let the tub amplify the sound around you, making it a solid solution for a speaker. When you're done, you can use the water eject function to clear it out, and that works well in removing water, as I haven't had any issues of water damage within the last 30 days. The action button was something I found very interesting at first, and now I actually find irritating. I have mine set to enable water mode when pressed, and I'm glad for that. The number of accidental presses I've experienced is absurd, making it especially awkward when you're in the middle of class and you have to eject the water and people are like, what is that? What is it? Now with that said, there is a feature that let me down recently. I was out for a walk and I got lost. I got excited because this watch is advertised to have a track back feature. However, when I went to activate it, the option wasn't there. It turns out you have to manually enable a workout for this feature to be available, as it's not available in order to detect workouts. And I'm confused because I think that's when you would need it most, because Not everyone's going to know when they're going to get lost, are they? This is where the Galaxy Watch Ultra really let me down. Based on what I initially heard, I was under the impression this watch could deliver up to around about 100 days of battery life, or at the very least 7 days on a single charge. In reality, the battery life is only slightly better than my Galaxy Watch 4 Classic. I get around about 2 days and 12 hours on a single charge, while the Galaxy Watch 4 Classic gives me around 1 day and 5 hours. Yes, the extra day is nice, but it wasn't what I was kind of hyped up to be expecting, if you understand what I mean. And the nail in the coffin for me is the lack of reverse wireless charging. Due to the sensor on the back of the watch, you cannot reverse charge off your mobile phone, as I used to with the Galaxy Watch 4 and so on. Meaning that if the watch dies while you're out or dies while you're asleep, you are more than likely having to deal with a dead watch on your wrist. Meaning now I must either remember to charge it ahead of time or walk around with a dead watch or a wire. And who wants to do that? If someone asked me if I was to recommend this watch to you, I would say no. You'd be better off getting the Galaxy Watch 6 Classic or the 5 Pro. They essentially do the same things. Sure, you'll be missing some features, but you're not going to need the 10 atmospheres of pressure and the 3000 nits of brightness every day, are you?